Do you mistake self-care for a behavior that actually might end up being self-sabotaging or keeping you stuck in a cycle of negativity? Let's take a deep dive into the true meaning and practices of profound self-care and change the way that you are moving through your world in more successful ways immediately. I'm Michelle Morrison. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I connect and bridge connections to the other side. I love sharing the messages from spirit. And one of the things that I am getting a lot of right now from the other side is how important it is to increase our self-care. I think I keep saying this a lot, and this is what I mean by it. I really believe that self-care is the revolution that is going to change the world right now. And self-care is a word that we're hearing a lot. Self-love. Yes, okay, we've heard it. We know what it means. But I wanted to take a deeper look at this today because what I mean by this is all the bubble baths in the world are not going to save you if you are not doing things that are good for you, if you are not able to forgive yourself for something, or maybe it's somebody else, or if you are continually putting off things that you know are actually good for you. And so let's take a deep dive into self-care and go through the different ways of self-care, and maybe you can see where you're at, and maybe you can see where you still want to go. I do know this conversation could potentially be challenging for some, but I really hope that it is challenging in a way that brings you into the highest parts of your being and into a much more empowered state. And so the first level of self-love, or the first area that we'll talk about, always is going to begin with self-awareness. And self-awareness is knowing your feelings, understanding where you are at, even if it's not where you exactly want to be. And so becoming aware of your own patterns. People pleasing is definitely been one of mine that I've had to create awareness about. And so, what is it for you? Are you people pleasing? Are you putting other people's needs before your own? Are you continually procrastinating, or is your energy feeling incredibly drained? Those are the things that we want to know. Are you letting negative thoughts somehow guide or dictate your experience? Taking the time to understand your feelings and be real about what they are is a really important first step in your journey of true self-care and self-love. You don't have to love where your feelings are at, but you do need to be honest with yourself about what's going on inside of you and what it is that you may need. When we learn to pause and reflect and ask, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? It's amazing how quickly you can begin to spot patterns and connect the dots. One of the patterns that I have spotted within my own self is just how much I apologize. Holy crow. Like always saying, I'm so sorry I was running behind, or I'm so sorry I didn't get right back to you, or I'm so sorry, for this or for that. And I realized how exhausting it was and how much it was draining my energy, and how much often I honestly didn't have anything that I truly needed to apologize for. Just probably being a little bit of a good Canadian girl and being polite. And so, what is it for you that is true for you? What are patterns that you can spot within your own self? And how can you maybe begin to just have a deeper awareness and just be truthful about yourself about whatever those things are? Once you have a little bit more self-awareness, I think the most beautiful step forward, and what Spirit will always say, is self-acceptance. And that is the loving, like the beautiful, the not so beautiful, the dumpster fire parts, all of the beautiful parts in between. So it's kind of like, instead of being black and white, it's like, I'm just going to accept it all, or I'm going to accept that, today this is where I'm at and this is how I'm feeling. And that's just simply true. That you can just accept where you're at, and giving yourself that opportunity for acceptance, rather than feeling hard on yourself for where you wish you were instead. Self acceptance is absolutely knowing that you may not be where you want to be, and that's okay in this moment. But it is also in recognition that you are a work in progress. Oh my gosh, we all are. We are all a work in progress. And the really important point is that you are just so incredibly worthy. And Spirit will tell you this all the time. You have no idea how worthy and the amount of worth that you hold and carry, and the amount of love and the ways that you are cherished from the other side. They're really, really beautiful and profound. And so, try to replace words of self criticism with maybe something that's like a bit more of an affirmation, or just something that's just a little bit more true, which is actually, instead of, you are doing things wrong 100 ways from Sunday, that you are a work in progress, that you are doing the very best that you can today, that you are learning and growing each day, that each day gets a little bit better. Those things are actually true. And when you put your energy there, you'll create more of this energy for you. And it is such a beautiful and loving and compassionate way to continually move forward and to make beautiful progress. The next part, I love this because we are so good at doing this for others and just so crummy for doing it for ourselves. And this is self compassion. So, for example, if you have a friend who comes to you with an issue or a problem and says, oh my gosh, like, I'm not so sure, what is a really good friend going to do? And what have you done for a very good friend? You've likely been incredibly compassionate and kind and understanding. And then when the mirror is turned and the reflection is right at you, you've probably been really hard on yourself and given yourself a little bit of a going over and a hard time. Treating yourself with kindness and compassion, even on a tough day or through a tough, challenging situation, is one of the most beautiful ways that you can show up for yourself. And you are so deserving of this. If shame was something that actually worked, we would all be doing things differently. It doesn't. There is no amount of self degradation or self criticism that is actually going to work and make you make productive changes. But positivity and love and kindness and compassion absolutely will. So be a little bit more kind and loving to yourself. Self compassion is so about showing up for yourself, with kindness rather than criticism. And it is, maybe changing that self negative talk to something that is a little bit more compassionate and caring. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, to someone that you love and care about, you have no business saying it to yourself. This next one is where I think many, many people get stuck. And it is a place where people kind of get caught up in thinking that this is self care and that self care starts and ends in this place. And this is the practice of self coddling. Self coddling can absolutely be beautiful things. And I absolutely love to take really good care of myself, and do things that are kind to my body, that support my physicality, my emotional well being, all of those things. But we cannot mistake the creature comforts entirely for self love and self care. It is so much more than that. And sometimes, if we get caught in the self coddling phase, we don't tend to take actions moving forward that are actually better for us and might actually be better for our future as well. And so, treating yourself and doing loving and kind things, you betcha, absolutely do them, but do not stay stuck in this place, and do not mistake that for being excellent at self care. So, a long term goal might actually be much better self-care for you than a short-term comfort. So what I mean by that is thinking that maybe, oh, I'll go for a walk later today and I'll get maybe a few steps in and some exercise or whatever. And then you come to the end of your day and you're like, oh my God, I can't do it. It's just been too much. I get that that's going to happen absolutely from time to time. But if it is happening repeatedly, now you're just making an excuse and you are actually sabotaging yourself and not doing something that you know is actually good for you. This is a hard thing. And I really believe that our culture right now, our society right now, is all about coddling people and wrapping them up in bubble wrap and not pushing them forward in your goals. And I really see this as a little bit of a loss of opportunity or a loss of progression or a loss of, development. And I really see it actually as a loss of self-love. Sometimes doing the uncomfortable thing is the most loving thing that you can do for yourself. Spirit will say, and I know this in my own experience, when I'm uncomfortable to a degree, that's actually when I'm doing it right, when I'm pushing my own self, when I'm pushing a little bit of my boundaries, when I am moving a little bit outside of my comfort zone, that's when we're hitting it right. It wasn't meant to be comfortable all the time. And I don't mean like pain, discomfort, but like, for example, going for a walk. I have two really rambunctious dogs, as you might know. They're very energetic. If I don't walk them, they will literally eat me because they are just so full of beans. And so sometimes the hardest part is just getting your shoes on and getting out the door. And then once I get out the door and my earbuds are in and I'm listening to a fantastic podcast or uh, or I'm just simply enjoying nature, I find it actually hard to get back in, that I really enjoy being out. And that's actually the most fun part. And the hardest part was getting out the door. If I went to improve my peace and well-being, I know I need to practice more meditation. Just need to take time to do that. Spirit will always say this: the work is the hack. The work is the hack, absolutely. And so the fastest way to something is actually taking the steps and doing it. So self-love empowers you to grow. It empowers you to get better. It empowers you to just be the best version of yourself in the highest potential of your being. That's what self-love does. It's not going to keep you stuck and in the same place and curled under your cozy covers, and avoiding everything else out in the world. That's not what it's going to do. It's absolutely going to push you past your comfort zones. And it's okay to stretch your little wings and grow a little bit more. And so it's not always about what is easiest now. Sometimes self-love is really about what's best for you, not only now, but moving down the road. So, the next part of this, we're just going to keep up in the ante here because just that's the way it works, is accountability and growth. And this is all about loving yourself so much that you stay committed to what you want to do. You stay committed to what you want to create and what you want to become. And that even if it's not all where you want to be today, that you appreciate even the small wins, that you take responsibility for yourself and that you are accountable for yourself, that where you are isn't something else's fault or somebody else's fault, that you are an empowered being who can do something right now in this moment to make your situation just a little bit better, even if that's something just really small, like taking a beautiful, big, deep breath. Be accountable and available to yourself. That is one of the most beautiful things that you can do. And when you do this, so much support shows up in and around you for this. For me, I have to keep copious notes. Not really my memory's not bad, but it's also like not the best part of me. I know this about myself. I need help. If it's not in the little bookie wookie, I probably will put it off somehow or forget. I keep accountability to myself that way by really keeping notes for myself. Now, that doesn't have to mean that's right for you. I'm just telling you what is right for me. And I'd love to hear what is right for you and how you support yourself, and stay accountable to your own being. This always keeps me on task, and it always keeps me moving forward. And that is really a beautiful form of self-love, because it really is about moving forward continually. The final aspect that I'll speak to is self-discipline. So we're being accountable. We are now going to put in a little bit of discipline. This, I'd say, is probably the hardest step for people, and that's so okay. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 back, and that's all right. But discipline is consistently showing up for yourself in the ways that are really important to you. I really love to kind of have, whether it's in writing or in my journal or in my calendar, goals of where I'm working towards. And this really helps me to stay on target, to stay focused, and to keep showing up for myself in things that I am working on. And so whether that is increasing my step count, or it is maybe, things that I wanted to do in terms of sitting down and doing some channeling, whatever it is, I'm going to keep showing up for myself in those ways. When you're showing up, even in small ways and in small little steps, amazing growth will happen very, very quickly for you. Growth doesn't happen without effort. It just doesn't. It absolutely requires your participation. And this is the way Spirit has always showed it to me. Imagine them hanging out around, all around you and above you. They will come part way when you come part way. So it is you coming part way, and then they show up. So an example of that is, instead of just thinking my angel should tell me what to do, maybe you're going to sit down and you're actually going to sit and ask them, and you're going to maybe spend some meditative time, and you're going to tune in. If you know that movement is good for your body, that you're going to take some steps towards that. Well, your whole entire support team will show up for you in bigger and bigger ways as you say yes to yourself. Say yes to yourself. You are so incredibly worth it. You are just so important. You have no idea how important you are or how cherished you are. And you doing these things is literally going to change your life. This ripples out to your relationships. When you are taking really good care of yourself, when you are being accountable to yourself, and you are putting yourself forward in these ways, your relationships are going to improve. And as your relationships improve, relationships outside of you improve. It just ripples and ripples and ripples. It's a really magical effect. It isn't an overnight wave the magic wand kind of an effect. It's absolutely something that takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. That's okay. You are worth it. You are worth every step, and every bit and every ounce of this. This self-love journey is not a straight line. Absolutely, you're going to maybe at some point come back into an old habit, but your self-awareness is going to bring you right back. And I find that once you start this journey, it's easier and easier and easier to be right back on track. Send me a DM on social media if you are interested in being a part of my Activated and Awakened group community. The whole community is about leveling up, increasing your intuition and your connection, and just living in a higher vibrational frequency, which is so much more successful in every single area of your life. And so I'd love to invite you to connect and learn more about what this community is all about. I am sending you so much love and light, and sending you so much positive energy for you and for your experience of self-love, and taking the time to really be present with yourself, to really pause and slow down and increase your awareness, to absolutely tune into what you need and what might be better for you, even if it is something that doesn't bring you immediate comfort, but that it is something that you are working towards. Um, being accountable and being disciplined in the ways that you take care of yourself, that is true self-love. And that is where the magic lies. I look forward to seeing you again really soon. I am wishing you a beautiful day and so much love and light.